Marcel Proust, he's quite the funny guy. No, I mean this refined subtlety of humor seems so developed. When you go over some of the lines, you realize he's laughing at himself. And when you engage with it with interest, you realize that you're partaking in this humor. You're laughing too. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not heavy in terms of content. The narration allows for this degree of lightness in terms of flavor. But then again, that's his subject matter, the absurdities of life. When we look at nature and we recognize there's this thing called the grand gesture and wonder, inquire, how does that play out in humans, our species, humano? Well, let's say there was a direct question asked and the only answer that was permissible was a direct one. The response would seem spectacularly incoherent, but this is how it would go. The grand gesture is you reading works of great thinkers, dissolving yourself in their subject matter with great thought, contemplation, process, and coming up with a explanation, your understanding of this body of work, giving it expansion, giving it abstraction, giving it a new pair of eyes, a new perspective, which might influence, inspire, be the impetus for more discussion, more exploration into the subject matter, which is an entity unto itself. Or at least we've been asked to think of it like it has identity, ownership. And by kicking it into this field of human discourse, dialogue, discussion, we have given it life within our time and space, this overwhelming presence, and this act of playing with it, distilling from it everything that can be drawn out through this continuous engagement, evacuating it in the end of all meaning. The entity, the subject matter, has taken part in its own way of the grand gesture, which could be considered the short answer to this direct question. Concise, precise, but somewhat incomplete. A bit more context might be helpful. In order to lay out examples, dive a bit deeper, get an expansive view, knowing of this caveat that you need your authentic self to participate in the grand gesture. And since that is in itself a search, I think I could begin with this analogy. The story of the Chinook comes to mind. These winds that come in from the Pacific Ocean. It's laden with moisture. It's heavy. In its travel eastward over land, it's oblivious to what lies in its way, this giant rocky mountain range. And by the time it climbs up, crosses over to the other side, it has been stripped of all its baggage, its heaviness. So now, light, dry, thirsty. One might say the loss of this baggage, this heaviness, is its authentic self. We might then take a turn, think of how Friedrich Nietzsche had used this expression, the mysterium tremendum, this quality of the numinous, when trying to answer what is it about music that we so universally respond to. It appeals to us, how it moves us so, and then take a step further and say, since music is in the category of art, we might be led to assume that all of art form must have this quality of the numinous. And so if that is the case, and we take a step further and think that if we participated in some sort of art by making art, the hope is through this interplay, some of its secrets could be drawn out. Do art, make art, and your authentic self will be revealed to you in the process. This is what Marcel Proust is saying. Art, says the narrator, is a more profound reality in which our true personality finds expression. And that true self is completely different from the masks we wear when we are out in society. He goes on to say, the art you make is the only thing that can allow other people to see who you really are. Since we're out of time and a couple of more things to cover, like how do you partake in art to find your authentic self? Another chapter, a part 4.